What's up? Aaron Negler here with Cheesehead TV. Some extra cheese, no days off from Packers camp. That's right. Players have the day off. The coaches were in this morning, and some media members were in attendance as the coordinators came to the media auditorium, asked some questions, got some answers, and now I thought I'd hop on and talk to you fine folks, Cheesehead TV loyalists, Packers fans worldwide, because, hey, that's who we're devoted to here at Cheesehead TV. Look at all these people jumping in. Good to see everybody. Hey, from West Palm Beach. What's up, Malcolm? How are you? Raji sighting. Not yet, Andrew, but it's early. Still very early in camp. We'll see. Guten Tag. What's up, Jack? How's Montrevious looking, Derek? He's looked fine. And I'll tell you what, he got a pretty damn big shout out from Mike Pettin today. He was asked about improved players and improvement overall, and he singled out Montrevious Adams as not only the most improved, but he was pretty candid about how unhappy he was with Montrevious early on last year and how Adams really turned it around as the season went on. Unsolicited high praise from Mike Pettin, no doubt there. He's had a solid camp to my eyes. He hasn't had many standout plays on teams, but he's been impressive in one-on-ones up and down. Hi, Aaron. How are you? Hi from Dallas. What's up from Green Bay, Wisconsin? Is it just me or is Allison going completely under the radar? How come I wouldn't say completely under the radar? I mean, he's had, out of the 4 days, I think he's had 2 really strong ones where he stood out and made plays and people were talking about him. The other 2 days, not so much, but that's kind of been the theme of camp. These guys, all the wide receivers behind Adams have had a day where they've really shined, except for MVS. He's the one guy who hasn't really had a big-time productive day. And I asked Nathaniel Hackett about that earlier this morning, and he said pretty much it's just kind of the way it's working out as far as the coverages they're going against, maybe where the quarterback's going with the football. But he says on tape, what MVS is doing is right where it should be. So I don't think there's anything to worry about there. Any word on Savage getting back? Not yet. Mike Pettin was asked about not having him out there for the first part of camp, and obviously you'd prefer the rookie to be there, getting those valuable reps. But hopefully we'll get out there tomorrow morning and he'll be participating. We'll see. I've not heard a thing about Jimmy Graham. It's so funny because people know Jimmy Graham. He's a big name and they think, obviously he should be doing big things every practice. And I think he's been very solid. I haven't seen any wow plays, although I will say I saw one of the best blocks he's ever made in an NFL uniform in practice the other day. And look, if Matt LaFleur and company come in and get Jimmy Graham to actually block and help in a productive running game, they will have done something nobody in the NFL has ever done. And on top of that, he did catch a sweet touchdown catch, not yesterday, but the day before in the red zone drill at the end of camp, at the end of practice, where they have the really hyper competitive period. It's 3rd and goal from, I believe, the 9 or so, and the offense has 2 cracks to get into the end zone, or maybe 3 cracks. But and Jimmy Graham 3 days ago got his feet tangled up and, some of the offensive guys were screaming pass interference. I thought it was just feet tangled up. But then yesterday or 2 days ago, they got him on a slant, isolated on the backside, and Rodgers hit him for a touchdown. So Graham's been active. I just don't think he's gotten a ton of work yet. But I think that will come. We shouldn't pay $10 million for solid. Yeah, you should. This is the crazy part. People consuming the shit through the database, through the contract prism is so ridiculous to me. I mean, because he's had 4 solid days of camp, you're ready to boot him because of his salary. That is the dumbest way to consume sports I have ever witnessed in my life. Reevaluate your priorities. Jimmy Graham is a veteran who's been and seen everything. And Aaron Rodgers trusts him implicitly. That alone is worth some money. But far and away, he's the most talented tight end on the roster. But, by all means, only because he started out as a solid member of the squad for the first 4 days, by all means, kick him to the curb. For what? That's the other thing I never understand about the cap gurus who are like, we could save so much money. Well, great. To do what? Well, who exactly is out there right now that you're going to go and get who's going to improve your football team? You already cut Mike Daniels, already made your team worse. You want to keep making it worse and get rid of good football players? You people are nuts. How likely is it that Crosby will lose his job? I don't think it's very likely, Tyler. Although Sean Meninga today was talking up the spirited competition between him and Feckin. I just can't believe that's a real thing. Feckin's nowhere near ready to be an NFL kicker that you have to count on week in and week out. And I know Crosby had his rough moments last year, but whew, daddy, you don't want to go into the season with Feckin. Now, maybe there's somebody else out there that they have an eye on, but right now, as it stands, I got to think once Crosby's healed up, he's the man. How has Rodgers' velocity looked? Right as rain. There were a couple throws in red zone these last 2 days. One in particular where Kevin King is diving at the ball. He fitted in a tight window, and Kevin King almost had a batted pass, but I mean, it was just a laser from Rodgers. You could see King process it and see, okay, he's going here with the football, but he just couldn't get there fast enough because the ball traveled so fast. Maybe there's been a slight downtick as far as the deep accuracy since the shoulder injury, but for the most part, he can still sling it. Someone's a few in already. No, amigo, this is actually my first one, but cheers. I might be going to the 49ers-Packers game. You might be, Andrew. Where should I get my tickets? I tell you what, you should check out Ticket King at cheeseheadtv.com. You can find a link there on our homepage or any of our post page. They've been around since 1992. They have all your tickets for any preseason games, postseason games if they're lucky enough to get there, every regular season game, both home and away. They physically located across from Lambeau Field, but you can find them at cheeseheadtv.com. And here's a little special bonus for you guys, all you loyal Cheesehead TV viewers and listeners. Right now, for a limited time only, you can get 10% off if you use Ticket King and promo code PACK2019. That's PACK with a capital P, 2019. PACK 2019 will get you 10% off now for a limited time. Ticket King. Check them out. cheeseheadtv.com. Nice tan. Oh, I don't know if it's a tan. I think it's just a burn. Can Raven Green realistically win the safety job from Savage? That's a big jump, Eric. I would be absolutely shocked if that were to occur. I think he is there holding it down while Savage is recuperating, but I still think that's Savage's job when he comes back automatically. Vitale could be a weapon. He could be. And this is true. First, I asked Nathaniel Hackett about him this morning because he's been everywhere. He's been making play after play after play, day after day after day, making me look like an idiot because I said all offseason that I felt certain they were going to try and move on from him. So I'm trying to improve there. But I'll tell you what, if the first 4 days are any indication, he is here to stay and to make plays. His versatility has really come to the fore. And because of that, I went up to Vitale yesterday in the locker room and I said, look, man, I've been saying all summer they're going to try and move on from you, and you were making me look like an idiot. Keep it up. And he could not have been more gracious. He was really lovely about it. He said, thanks a lot. Glad to make you look foolish. I'll keep it up. So I was glad he took it in the spirit it was intended. Thoughts on Hackett so far? Michael, it's hard to really gauge what assistants are responsible for when you're watching a practice and you're watching the implementation of a scheme. Clearly, he's there to help execute LaFleur's vision. He's certainly bringing a wealth of knowledge from his past stops. I've said ever since that hire, I really love his history in the running game, and I'm really hoping his success in that regard really kind of helps out the Packers because everything LaFleur has talked about all offseason is about the entire offense being predicated off that running game. So it has to be successful for this offense to work. And I think Hackett could be a big part of that. Now, we'll see how that progresses. Right now, it's hard to say with any, kind of definitive statement, like what he's done to put his stamp on things. But I think that will come to the fore as we go along here throughout camp and throughout the season. And we talk to guys and hear about what Hackett's doing and his involvement in certain aspects of the game. Could Tony Brown move into cornerback 3 role this season? That's a good question. I've only seen him work on the outside. That doesn't mean he hasn't run inside. I just haven't seen it yet. I think they, right now, at least early on, it certainly would seem they view him as a perimeter corner. But maybe they'll bounce him inside in nickel and dime. Right now, your nickel has been Tremont. I would be very surprised if Tony Brown moved in ahead of Tremont, at least early on in the season. But we'll see. We know injuries play a large part here. But we'll see. Josh Jackson hasn't been on the field yet, so we'll see where he gets inserted once he's back. Long way to go. But I do think Tony Brown is going to make it really difficult for them to move on from him because he's had a strong start to camp, to my eyes. Could this new running back move to number 2 back over Williams? If you're talking about Grant, the kid they picked up from Jacksonville. Hackett and LaFleur have both talked up his speed, his versatility, his ability in the passing game. He's got special teams experience, so got to think he's got an inline there. But I tell you what, he struggled pretty mightily in the first pass protection drill I saw that he participated in. And if you can't protect the franchise, it's going to be hard to put you on the field. Now, we'll see how much that plays into LaFleur's programming / personnel usage. Obviously, it meant a lot to Mike McCarthy. May not mean as much to LaFleur. So maybe he gets on the field regardless, although that makes it easier for a defense to know, well, this guy can't pass protect for a lick. So if he's in there, he's probably going out. These are the things you got to juggle as a play caller. But I certainly see the explosion. You certainly see the playmaking ability. It's exciting, the idea of him getting the ball in space in this offense. And he kind of brings that thing that we've talked about here for a long time throughout the years. The Packers never really had that really shifty, darting, super fast guy in the backfield who can, take any touch to the house. He could provide that element. So I'm excited to see how LaFleur tries to incorporate him over these next few weeks. How about the rookie tight end, Jace? Pretty quiet. Not a whole lot going on there. That doesn't mean he's having fine practices. He's doing everything that's asked of him, but I think it's going to be very hard for him to crack the rotation of that top three. But we'll see. It's still early on. We want slants. I think you're going to get slants. Why New York people? People from Packers land hate New York people for good reason? It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Vince Lombardi is from New York, so you're welcome. Mike Daniels was a vocal locker room guy. Anyone on D? Oh, sorry, where did it go? Mike Daniels was a vocal locker room guy. Anyone on D seemed to be filling that role. Not really. Not at least so far early on, but it is early. And I know a lot has been made of Mike in his locker room leadership. And I do think he was a guy that tried to point the direction on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, filled a lot of notebooks with quotes over the years about the need for the defense to get nastier and more physical, et cetera, et cetera. I will say, I do know there are people in the locker room, and I think Tom Silverstein wrote about this a couple years ago, who, Mike's vocal kind of way of leadership rubbed some guys the wrong way. And that's not to say it's everybody, but there were certainly a few. And I do think that, while he was a guy who did things the right way, was the definite consummate Packer as far as his involvement in the community, he was a bit of an outlier in the sense that he was vocal. And that just isn't this team. And it has really never been, at least as long as Mike McCarthy was in town. Now, LaFleur's here, maybe things change, but Aaron Rodgers is still there, and he's not a big rah-rah guy either. So I'm interested to see how that dynamic kind of evolves over LaFleur's tenure. Because, like I said, every team becomes a reflection of its head coach. And right now, we don't really have much to go on when it comes to LaFleur. So we'll see how he is and how that reflects in the locker room. Who of the new signings, draft picks, give the best media quote? Oh, that's a good question. The new signings. Za'Darius has been good. Preston's been kind of standoffish. Oh, but that's not true. Preston's been very informative. I wouldn't say he's entertaining, but that's not his job. I don't know. There's nobody with a real great quip or quote yet, but it's still early. What are the chances of the Packers getting on track early in the season rather than sputtering like everyone predicts? I think there's a chance. There's absolutely there could be early signs of life, so to speak. I would be very shocked if they just hit the ground running, though, especially week 1 against the Bears in their place. That's a tall order. But I do think they have the talent and the quarterback to at least, move the ball up and down the field a bit more than maybe people are predicting, like you're alluding to here. Will joint practices be like a scrimmage game? Not necessarily a game, but they will do some 11-on-11 stuff. There will be scrimmage work. LaFleur just got done talking yesterday about how much he prefers, real football, 11-on-11 in a practice setting. And that is certainly something that would have been discussed with the Texans prior to making this arrangement. So you have to think, we're going to see some game-like situations. You can't look at a joint practice in these last couple of years in the NFL without seeing a fight. And I'm very interested. And Aaron Rodgers has already kind of predicted that may happen. It's going to be at that point at camp too, where guys are going to be sick of hitting their own guys. They're going to want to hit some new people, and tempers could flare in the heat. Be on the lookout. What do you think is more likely? We keep 7 receivers or 4 backs? Ooh, good question. Probably 4 backs, I would say. But you never really know. I think it depends on which one of those guys is doing the most on special teams, essentially. But we'll see. Am I going to family night? You bet I'm going to family night. No question. I'll be there. Fireworks and all. What are you looking forward to most this season? New offense, rookies, anything specific that isn't too obvious? I'm looking forward to the most is the gelling of the new additions on defense, elevating them to respectability. I get a lot of questions about, are they going to be a top 10 defense? Are they going to be a top 5 defense? I don't even care about rankings. I don't care. I just want a defense that doesn't leave guys wide open. And every time there's a big completion, we got defensive backs pointing at each other. Just competence, respectability. Is that too much to ask on defense? Get the ball back to Aaron Rodgers every once in a while and give him an extra set of downs. I'm a simple man with simple tastes and simple needs. And all I need on defense is competence. That's all I ask. Who starts the fight with Daniels gone? Ooh, good question. I don't know. TBD. I mean, my early thought would be probably Adrian Amos, but we'll see. Bucky Brooks article reactions? I have none. He's allowed his opinion. I vehemently disagree with it. And that's where it stands. I want a defense that doesn't consistently give up 3rd and 10 plus. Exactly. Like, it got so depressing there for years and years and years where you get an offense into 3rd and long. That's supposed to favor the defense. But in Green Bay, it often meant the offense had them right where they wanted them. I just want those days to be over. I want 3rd and 10 to favor our defense for a change. Please? Please? Is that too much to ask? I don't think it's crazy. Is Cole Madison rusty with the year off? No. He's actually looked really promising in one-on-ones. Now, in teamwork, he hasn't really either stood out or looked like a liability. He just looks like a guy. That's kind of to be expected, I would think, after a year off. But I tell you what, in the one-on-ones, he's looked very, very good, especially these last 2 days once the pads came on. So that's something to look at. Clearly, a long time away from football, still getting back into football shape, getting in the football groove, so to speak. But early returns are promising. There's no doubt there. Jesus of the Apes. No, he hasn't. Yes, he has. If you don't think he has been promising in one-on-ones, you don't know what you're looking at. Jesus of the Apes, self-proclaimed genius. When is Savage going to be practicing? Great question. Nobody knows. Hopefully tomorrow morning. We'll see. Stay tuned. I'll take 1 or 2 more here. Tanyan, tight end number 2. Andrew, he's been utilized a lot early on, especially in passing situations, but that could be because they know what they have with Mercedes Lewis, and maybe they're just getting him more reps to see what they've got there. But Hackett was very complimentary of him this morning. I do think they like his ability in the passing game. He's got to improve his blocking in the running game. No question there. Any curls today? No, not today. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see. What games am I looking forward to? All of them, really. I mean, Kansas City game is the one I think everyone's circled just because of the quarterback matchup there. But really, all the divisional games are always ones to look to get you going, get you excited, and hell, the opener in Chicago. I'm all for it. All right, I'm gonna head out. Thank you so much for all the questions. Sorry if I couldn't get to yours. I'll be back tomorrow. They'll be back bright and early. Make sure you're checking out 97.3 The Game. Download your iHeartRadio app if you want to listen live. I'll be joining Mike Heller for the next 3 mornings in a row, live from Stadium View, right by the practice facility there. And hey, if you like what we're doing here at Cheesehead TV, please subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. And hey, start using Super Chat if you want. Super Chat's been enabled. We've finally been monetized. It's kind of crazy. Only took us a year, but we're finally there. Like us on Facebook, share us with your friends, And if you really want to support what we do at Cheesehead TV, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/cheeseheadtv. $5 a month supports everything we do. I just put up a podcast yesterday with Andy Herman talking about everything we've seen through the first 4 days. I got some surprise guests coming up this week on Nagler's Never Right. Lots of great stuff happening at Cheesehead TV, and we thank you guys for being a part of it. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great day.